The IPL is just about 9 days away from completion. But cricket does not stop at this point in time, because after the IPL, you have much more bigger tournaments coming up, and in particular, the World Cup. Now, it is on the basis of the World Cup and also on several other matters that the BCCI is going to hold a special general meeting on May 27th in Ahmedabad. The BCCI has put out its agenda as to what they want to do, and on the SGM, these are the things that they are going to discuss. Some key decisions on the World Cup, some key decisions on the WPL, and one huge development when it comes to the Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act. Why did the BCCI is looking to act on this? It will be upon a certain complaint that was filed. So, in the special general meeting that will be held on 27th of May, these are the key decisions that the BCCI is expected to ratify. One, formation of the Infrastructure Development and Subsidies Subcommittee. Now, what is all this? This Infrastructure Development and Subsidies Subcommittee, it is to look at the revamping of the stadiums that will be held for the World Cup. Remember, there is a certain economics that is that has been devoted to it so that the stadiums can get renovated for the World Cup. Appointment of physios and trainers in state teams. There is now going to be a pattern. There is going to be a dedicated work mechanism upon which physios and trainers will be selected in the state teams. But this is the major point. Formation of a working group for the 2023 World Cup. There will be members who will oversee what all will happen in India in the World Cup 2023, from infrastructure to stadium facilities to, you may say, viewer needs. All that will be taken upon by the working group. For the first time, there will be a Women's Premier League committee. There will be a committee that will oversight the workings of the WPL, just like how you have the IPL Governing Council that oversees all the operations of the IPL within the BCCI. Similarly, you are going to see a WPL committee. The last point will be the ratification of the Prevention of Sexual Harassment Policy, because the BCCI has fallen foul to the PoSH inability, the inability of the ICC in that. What is the latest issue? Why is BCCI suddenly taking up the ratification of the PoSH policy? Now, PoSH means the Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act that was formed in 2013. That was created in 2013 in order to ensure that sexual harassment does not take place in sporting federations or in any other organizations. But if you had noticed, when the WFI protests were happening, when the wrestlers were protesting in Jantar Mantar, Indian Express had carried out a special investigation. In that, it was found that 16 out of the 30 sporting federations did not even have an internal complaints committee or the ICC which oversaw PoSH, which is the Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act. Now, the BCCI has sprung into action after the National Human Rights Commission had issued notices to sporting federations, including the BCCI, because the major gripe was that there was no proper internal complaints committee. So, the BCCI has taken up cognizance of that, and now what are they going to do is, actually if you look at it, BCCI has a 4-member ICC, but if the SGM wants to ratify it, some more members could be included. Remember, the composition should be 4 members in the internal complaints committee. 2 of them have to be women and 2 could be outside of the system from, it could be from the court, it could be from any women empowerment organization or any of the other mentioned organizations that the BCCI deems worthy of. Now, when did the BCCI set up the ICC, the Internal Complaints Committee? You would remember that a couple of years back, there was a sexual harassment charges that were framed against BCCI, former BCCI CEO Rahul Johri. At that point in time, the BCCI decided to set up the Internal Complaints Committee mandated under the 2013 Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act. So, after getting a slap on the wrist by the National Human Rights Commission, the BCCI now has decided to have the 4-member ICC, which will include more members. So, in a way, all the requirements that PoSH Act determines, the BCCI is going to fulfill all that. That is one major step that they have decided to do. finally in 2023 you had the Women's Premier League, which proved to be a big success and a big breakthrough for women's cricket in India. Now in the SGM, the BCCI is going to have a working committee that will oversee not just the WPL operations, but they will also ensure that there is a dedicated window from 2023-2024 onwards. When that dedicated window will come about, that is the job of the WPL committee. Remember, the first season of the WPL had no working committee. Now, after the success of the WPL in 2023, there will be a working committee similar to the lines of the IPL GC that has been run now currently. The IPL Governing Council has members. It is run within the umbrella of the BCCI. The same thing will happen to the WPL as well. Now the BCCI Working Committee for the World Cup. Who will be the members of the World Cup that will oversee all the operations and all the requirements in the World Cup? BCCI President, Secretary, Treasurer, Acting CEO, other senior officials. So basically the BCCI will have this working committee that will oversee all the developments from this point on, from May 27th onwards until the World Cup. Because remember, the World Cup has been hosted in India after 12 years and some things need a bit of upgrade. For example, stadiums. So when you look at the SGM, two things, PoSH and the World Cup Working Committee in addition to the WPL committee. These three things will be of huge importance. But the last point about this is, which was on this, formation of infrastructure development and subsidy subcommittee. Now remember, 500 crores has been allocated for the redevelopment of stadiums that are lacking in proper infrastructure and also for the demands of the fans. Now, what are the venues that have been zeroed in? That we will come to know after the end of the IPL. After the end of the IPL, the BCCI is going to release the entire schedule officially. What are the venues? After the venues have been decided, 500 crores will go in for most of the stadiums that need infrastructure boosts. This subcommittee will be doing all this. The subcommittee, subsidy subcommittee and infrastructure development committee. So the SGM that will happen on May 27 will have a lot of bearing on how the World Cup is going to be held. So after the IPL, this SGM charts the course for the Indian cricket team and the Indian cricket administration for the next 6 months. Because remember, we only have 5.5 months for the World Cup. Time is really short indeed. Thank you so much folks for joining us for this live. We'll be back with more updates on sports today. Tap that bell icon so you know when we go live, and don't forget we are on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram as well. Thank you.